experience has changed us a lot, and it's only just beginning. I think that there's so much in our society that like pressures us to behave a certain way and get certain kinds of jobs and buy certain kinds of cars or clothes, and like everything about, you know, the economy is basically based on us working harder and spending more money. But that doesn't necessarily make us happier, and I think it's so freeing to just have time with each other, time to enjoy the sunlight, time to enjoy nice food. You know, I think that one of the biggest lessons that I've experienced is that you don't have to do things the conventional way to reach your goals or discover happiness. So our life before moving into Teardrop. We were living in San Francisco and we were getting our careers up and running, and we were really ambitious, and it was great on some level because there was lots of opportunity, but we ended up just stressing out all the time. It was more work equals more pay equals more expenses equals need for more work equals need for more pay. And then what we ended up with was just more debt and more stress. And so we're like, what if we just stop thinking about getting more and thinking about getting a little bit less?
A teardrop over a tiny house was kind of what we're up in the air deciding. And the reason we didn't choose a tiny house initially was because we wanted to explore the rest of the United States and South America, possibly Europe. We wanted to be mobile. Also, a tiny house, it's kind of hard to park it. We discovered in California we were looking for places to put a tiny house, and it didn't seem very feasible. So the teardrop was lightweight. It could be pulled by our mini truck. It was really well made, and it had everything that we needed. It had a bathroom, a kitchen, a king-size bed, a living room, a desk.
So we've been living in this about 4 months, and our initial plan was to live in it for the year and travel around the U.S. We picked it up in Arizona, and we were going to do the Southwest while it was still warm, and then we're heading into the Southeast in the winter and up the North Coast, Northeast Coast, and across Canada in the spring and summer. So our initial idea was to just travel the U.S. and Canada, but then we realized we love this lifestyle so much that really, like, the sky's the limit at this point. We're thinking about how to do this in South America, how to do this in Europe. Yeah, we just absolutely love it, and it's kind of a surprise to us.
So our little home offers heating, cooling. It has everything that we want. So our little heating system, it runs on propane, and this thing heats up in about, I would say, 5 minutes. We're like really warm, so you often have to turn it off. Then we have our air conditioner here. And for when we're cooking, we turn on our fan, and this can suck the air in or it can suck the air out depending on what we want. And then this little thing opens or closes. We normally keep it open because it gives a little extra light, and also when you're sleeping in the evening, it relieves any kind of condensation that will build up over the evening. If you want to have the window completely shut, you just go like this, and then if you want it just a little bit more light, and then also when you open it, there is a nice screen to keep all the bugs out if you want to have a nice breeze. Here we have our master bathroom, luxury style. We have shower, a toilet, mirrors, all the things that we really need. This is we normally shower, actually we always shower in the campground bathroom, so we just take that over with us. So this is our first TV that we have to watch our DVDs. We actually have cable as well in most of the campgrounds, which is, we have yet to use it, but one day. Then up above here we have our little plants. They're not real. And in case it's not light in the campground, we have our headlamps up above. Also our Verizon Jet Pack for our Wi-Fi. And then our windows, they're really cool. They actually, you can close them, and you can actually lock them in a open setting or lock them in a completely closed setting, which is really nice. Then also, if you want to keep the bugs out, you can shut the screen. Or if you want full privacy, these really get dark. So we really enjoy our big windows. It makes the space feel a lot more open.
Easiest way of making breakfast is just using an electric kettle and a French press. But we still can make breakfast on an open stove. So we actually have 2-burner gas stove right here. Very easy to access, very easy to clean on top of.
When our family found out that we were going to be living in a 15-foot camper, my friends and family said, well, of course you are. it wasn't something that they were surprised by, I guess. But
I've come from much more like traditional sort of family upbringings, but surprisingly they were like, go for it, you know?
We no longer have expenses like a mortgage, we no longer have car payments, we no longer have a lot of utilities we no longer pay for. It's all wrapped into our campground fees. But campground fees have varied greatly depending on where we're staying and for how long we're staying there. For example, if we're staying somewhere for only a week, it's much more expensive. But in our current campground, we're staying for a month and it's only $400. So on average, we're spending maybe $900 a month on campground fees. Also, our gas is not as much as it used to be. We used to spend about $300 a month on commuting, and now we're spending around $200 to tow and to drive and grocery shop, all that other stuff. Another thing that has been very surprising that we've had to pay for is internet. The campground internet is not strong enough to work most of the time, so we had to get a Verizon Jet Pack that provides internet for us wherever we're at. But it's been quite expensive. It's going upwards of, the last bill was $350 for our internet. Overall, we're saving money, but sometimes it just had some unexpected costs involved with it. Definitely, we're both 5'10", and as you can see, this space here is not, it's not that tall. So we often hit our head. Poor Jessi hits her head probably 3 to 4 times a day. Making up the living room to the bed isn't always the most fun. It only takes a minute or two, but sometimes you're tired, you don't want to do that. The other challenges that we face would have to be mail. We don't have a mail forwarding service. We're actually sending all of our mail to my mom's house right now, and then she's taking a picture, sending it to us. If you're staying in one campground, they might offer a mail service, but for us, that has been definitely a challenge.
We definitely picked our route based on the weather, because in such a small space, like our living room is definitely outside or our kitchen is outside. We picked some places we thought were warm, and then they ended up being really rainy or really cold, and that kind of put a damper, literally, on those experiences, because we do depend on living outside a lot more.
So here we have our master bedroom set up, and we have our 2 dogs. We have Maxwell and Sadie sleep in the bed with us. If you can believe it, it's actually a king-size bed. And in the back shelf we have our DVDs, books, we have games, underwear, socks, all the things that we need for the day. We just get in our back shelf there.
Even though this place looks really small, it actually has a ton of storage given the size. So for instance, every single seat has a big storage container underneath it. This one even has a little cupboard, so we have the dog food in there, and then each of these seats pop up and we can get storage underneath. So this one we use things like dog food. The other ones we have like toiletries, some coats, things that you don't need every day but you might want to have access to easily. Forward and up, and it clicks on up, boom, table.
So here's our kitchen area. Over here we have our key rack. We have a pure water filter, a nice little sink. Also have our French press, and we make oatmeal every morning, so we just use some hot water and it's super easy. Then we have our spices and fruit basket here. Up above, we have our rice, coffee, normally do tortillas and any kind of spices we have extra up there. Then over here we have our cups, bowls, more tea, more spices. We like to cook a lot. Below is where we keep our pots, pans, silverware, all that good stuff. This right here is a water tank. Right here, we really need to go grocery shopping. As you can see, we have some our refrigerator space. And here is where we keep all of our shoes. There's also, for nighttime, there's this great porch light that the tab offers, which actually, you'd be surprised how much light this shows off at night. There's also some electrical outlets on the outside, so if you want to plug in your camp stove, or if you want to plug in some lights, you have water, electricity over here, and this is a vent. There's also your black water tank, which is your toilet water, and then your gray water tank is right here, which is your shower water or sink water. And then inside this little guy is your propane and your battery. So if you're dry camping, this is really nice because then you can still have electricity.
So I'm a full-time web designer, and we support ourselves with that. And you make sure everything else runs. You do everything else, basically. Chief logistics officer for the family.
We typically stay in RV parks or state campgrounds so far. You know, the RV parks, they're so nice. They have everything. They have the sewer hookups, they have the pools and hot tubs, and oh, it's been really, really wonderful staying in the RV parks. State parks, on the other hand, that we've been staying at have a little bit less amenities, but it's right up close to nature. We've stayed on the ocean, we've stayed in beautiful forests, and it's been wonderful. One of our favorite aspects of living tiny is owning less stuff, which has actually been the most surprising thing for us. We used to own a 3-bedroom house, and we had a roommate that lived downstairs. And these rooms were empty. They were a guest bedroom when we would have guests maybe 2 or 3 times a year. And then we also had an office space that we never went into. Nowadays, we have only what matters. We have only what we use on a regular basis. We have only what is useful in our lives, and it changes things. You don't have to clean as much. You don't have to maintain things that are just things. And it feels, we always watch the tiny house movement, and people always talked about feeling more free. And that has really been the case for us, is we feel free. We feel less weighted with less things.